Happy January 10th, television family. It's a Tuesday, according to my calendar. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I'm Dan Kuntz. We're live here from Studio 2 in downtown Wenatchee. Right out of the box, I'm going to tell you right now, the monitor in the studio isn't working. So we're going to fly by the seat of our pants. Live television, you work without a net. What do you do? It is 32 degrees, another cloudy, foggy day today. Sun's taking the day off again. But we're going to see a little sunshine tomorrow. Little bit of snow in the forecast, followed by a lot of rain and very mild temperatures. Forecast details are coming up. We're not going to have any sunshine today, but we're going to see a few sun breaks tomorrow. It'll be nice. I wonder what it looks like. Complete forecast details are coming up. Passes are fine right now. You got no problems at all there. News, we got a lot of it. It was a busy day in the bullpen yesterday. Sports. Let's see. Georgia just scored again. It's now 72-7. Bulldogs over the Horned Frogs. Big fan of college football. I couldn't sit through that last night. But the Kraken, wow, 5 in a row for the Kraken. They just told the Canadians to get on out of here in Montreal. Kraken, one of the hottest teams in the NHL. We'll have highlights of that when we get to sports. And we'll preview the Hawks and the 40 Winers who get the NFL playoffs underway on Saturday. And in the back half of the program, they started their long session. This is the 105-day session. The legislature, of course, gets together in January of every year. On even-numbered years, it's a short session where they can tweak the budget. On odd-numbered years, like this one, 2023, it's the long session. Scheduled for 105 days. They often go past that. They have to write the budget. And Mike Steele, Representative Mike Steele from the 12th District, representing most of our viewing area, had a chance to visit with their very own Jefferson Robbins to preview the legislative session. So if you're curious on how the sausage gets made, you'll learn about that in the back half of the program. 2 minutes after the hour, I can't see the monitor, and I have no idea what cameras we're going to use. So we'll let Mr. Darby tell me. I'm sure we're starting out at Wenatchee Heights, because that's what we do. We start out at the Wenatchee Heights, and the cross camera looking down over the Wenatchee Valley. Day is getting a little bit longer now, 8 hours and 45 minutes of daylight today. Sunrise 7:46, about 40 minutes from now. Sunset tonight 4:31. Camera 2. Off to Kashmir we go. Good morning, Kashmir. I've brought up this a couple of times. I never got an answer. Kashmir, for a long time, branded themselves as the early American village or something along those lines. Remember that? That's what the chamber used to call themselves. The early American village of Kashmir. They don't do that anymore, and I don't know why. If you do, let me know. Figure that one out. Camper number 3. Up to Hose Landing. Is that correct, Captain Darby? Hose Landing. Good morning, Hose Landing. Pleasure to see you. Not a lot of people live in the Hose Landing area, but you know, what the heck. And I'm sure we're looking over the Columbia River towards Aniat, if I remember correctly. And we haven't used that camera in a long time. Camera 4. Number 1 Canyon camera looking towards East Wenatchee and 5th Street and the campus of Wenatchee Valley College on still another snow-covered winter's morning. But we're going to have some more snow melt. Here's a slide for you from the National Weather Service. Rain and snow coming, yeah. Take a look at where you live. The mountain's going to get quite a bit of snow. This is basically Wednesday night into Thursday. Now for us, we're going to see a little bit of snow Wednesday night into early Thursday morning. Then it's going to switch over to all rain by Thursday afternoon. In fact, by Thursday afternoon and Thursday night, we're going to have a lot of rain. Snow level is going to go all the way up to about 4,300 feet on Thursday. So a little bit of light snow possible Wednesday night into Thursday, and then it switches over to rain, and quite a bit of rain Thursday night into Friday morning, and we're going to warm up in a big way. So more snow melt is coming our way, but we're going to have a little bit more snow too, but it's not going to stick around. Apple Valley Honda is the sponsor. The National Weather Service does the honors of the forecast. Another cloudy day today with a high near 34, which is what we hit yesterday, and it's what we hit on Sunday, and it's pretty much what we hit on Saturday. Very little temperature variation as usual. Patchy fog, a little freezing fog tonight. Cloudy again, 28 for the overnight low. Wednesday, going to see a little sunshine, partly sunny on Wednesday. A little bit cooler because we're going to have some slightly clearer skies. Not going to have the blanket hovering over the valley. It means a little cooler for the afternoon high on Wednesday, but we'll take the sunshine. Filtered anyway, in a high of 33. Wednesday night, again, some rain, and then it switches over to snow in the wee small hours of the morning, Wednesday night into Thursday. Thursday morning, snow, then switches over to rain. And by the time we get to sunset Thursday afternoon, quite a bit of rain, and we're expecting rain pretty much all night. Thursday night, a 90% chance of rain Thursday night into Friday. Rain Friday morning, then we dry out. We'll get up to 41 for the afternoon high on Friday, and 41 for the afternoon high on Saturday with a little bit of rain. Sunday, about 39 or 40 for the holiday, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, near 40 degrees with a slight chance of rain. So get ready for some warm and wet weather towards the back half of the week. 6 minutes after the hour, a 1 minute break, and then your Tuesday morning news. And by golly, there's a lot of it. We'll have it for you in 60 seconds. You're watching Wake Up in Anchi Valley on the NCW Live channel.
We were in Roseburg in the early 80s. Our oldest son, Dan, was a defensive back, a starter on that team. They in fact, became Oregon State champions, setting the first undefeated 14-0 season in Oregon's history. And our kids still talk about that. I go back now, too, and I think about all those great days and great times. The neat thing is that we can go back in today and still enjoy the same quality food that we enjoyed 50 years ago. That's legendary.
Come on, I'm a certified technician. I was trained to take good care of you.
9. I've only been to the dealer.
I've been coming here for years. These guys are great.
Look around. The BMW, the Jag, the Volvo, they're all waiting for regular service. Well, the BMW has a little computer issue, but that's nothing we can't handle. Come on in.
From regular maintenance to computer troubleshooting, trust the Global Car Care technicians with your import, diesel-powered, or domestic vehicle. Global Car Care. They speak your car's language.
Dankeschön.
Cloudy and foggy, 32 degrees. Not going to get much warmer than that today. And once again, if you want some sunshine, you will have to go elsewhere, but we'll see a little bit of sunshine. On Wednesday, some snow early Thursday morning, switching over to rain. Very mild and wet conditions expected starting Thursday afternoon and lasting right on into the weekend. It's about 8 minutes after the hour. Let's start with this story. 5 people were hospitalized, including 3 children, following a 2-car accident. This happened about 4 miles north of the summit of Blewett Pass yesterday afternoon. According to the Washington State Patrol, about 2:42 in the afternoon, a southbound 2012 Hyundai Veracruz crossed the center line of the highway into the northbound lane near milepost 168 and was struck in the rear by a 2008 GMC pickup. An 8-year-old male passenger in the Hyundai was airlifted, to Harborview Medical Center in Seattle with serious injuries. The other 3 occupants of the Hyundai transported to Central Washington Hospital with unknown injuries, and a 7-year-old passenger in the pickup was transported to Cascade Medical Center in Leavenworth. The driver of the Hyundai, 31-year-old Willow Howard of White Swan, faces charges of driving too fast for conditions. 2 vehicles were involved in an accident on the Malaga-Alcoa Highway early yesterday morning, about 6 a.m. as a matter of fact. The vehicles were traveling too fast for conditions and hit black ice. That's according to Chelan County Sheriff Sergeant Chris Foreman. 1 car rolled over and both landed off the highway in a ditch near to the train tracks. Initially, the deputies were concerned that they could affect the train schedules. That turns out that wasn't the case. Both drivers cited for driving too fast for conditions. 1 driver was also cited for no valid operator's license. 1 person sustained minor injuries, but they were not transported to any local medical centers. Sheriff's deputies say a group of teenage girls were targeted by a convicted sex offender, and those teenage girls turned the tables on him, unearthing his identity and alerting police. 4 teenagers in the Manson area reported receiving Snapchat solicitations from the same user in 2021 who claimed to be a 17-year-old Kashmir resident. But they told Chelan County investigators that they traced the account to Bernardino Dwight Hamilton, a 27-year-old Manson man with prior convictions of child molestation. Hamilton allegedly admitted to contacting 5 juvenile girls using a smartphone that he was not supposed to have under conditions of his probation. He told deputies he was remorseful for his actions. Hamilton booked into the Chelan County Jail on Thursday. He could face 5 charges of communicating with a minor for immoral purposes. A claim that Grace City Church has violated Wenatchee's nuisance noise ordinance must be reassessed by the Chelan County District Court. That ruling Friday from Superior Court Judge Kristen Ferreira, who heard the city's appeal after a district court judge dismissed the case back in April. The argument came down to whether the district court had adopted a rule that allowed such dismissals without a contested hearing. The rule appeared on the local court's website, but the administrative office of the Washington court said it had not actually been submitted as a formal rule.
It may be that the district court did this intentionally and just didn't fix its website, or it didn't do it intentionally and it just needs to fix it by submitting an updated rule set. But either way, it needs to get resolved at the district court level. And I am going to remand this to the district court to have the hearing, the contested hearing, because there isn't currently a rule that allows a contested decision on written statements. So again, they can fix it. I think they probably need to do something, either they're going to adopt it or not.
Chelan County Sheriff Mike Morrison introduced two members of his leadership team during Monday's meeting of the Chelan County Commissioners. Ryan Moody will become Chief of Special Operations for the Sheriff's Office. Daniel Osment was named as Under Sheriff. Osment joined the force in 2020. He was hired from the Marysville Police Department by former Sheriff Brian Burnett. Ryan Moody has been on the force since 2012. He is the recipient of the State Law Enforcement Medal of Honor for his part in saving a man from a house fire in Chelan. Morrison says the role of Chief of Patrol will be filled in the near future. Of course, yesterday marked day one of the 105-day legislative session in Olympia. In a legislative preview event that was held last week, leaders of both parties said housing and the problems brought by the lack of housing will be high on the agenda this year.
I think the people of Washington have really spoken in terms of the majorities that they sent back to the legislature, and they've said that housing and homelessness is a very important issue for us to focus on. Behavioral health is kind of a subset, or, it overlaps. There's a Venn diagram there. Community safety. So all these are things that you mentioned, and protecting abortion rights. The other thing that I think is going to be an omnipresent issue over all of these and will prevent us from solving any of them is if we don't address workforce in a really big way this session. So I'm hoping that we will do a lot of work there, and I expect that we will. I think Washingtonians have said that they do trust Democrats to lead and to bring innovative solutions to these challenges. And so we're looking forward to leading the way, hopefully in a bipartisan way. I was just on a panel last night with Drew Stokesbury, and I think we agreed on many, many things. Sometimes the details of how we work them out, there's disagreement, but my guess is that there is a lot of agreement.
The cost of food, of gas, of housing, of childcare are frankly unaffordable for many Washingtonians today. And even if they could afford it 6 months ago, just barely, today they probably can't because of inflation. They probably got a raise in there, and they still can't afford it. They're living on credit. This is a real problem. And then education, and I whatever the polls say, this is a huge, important problem. There's both a immediate problem with learning loss, and there's a long-term structural funding problem that we're falling behind yet again. The bottom line is, whether we think the last couple years when we were not in person were consequential or productive, we haven't solved the problems. We must do better. Whether it's the dying dreams of home ownership in our state, if the chance of you owning a home in our state are marginal or significantly lower than they were only a few years ago. The deaths of despair right now, if you are under 60, your second leading cause of death is overdose. We got to do better.
And finally, last night at the Wenatchee Convention Center, the 30-some-odd senior girls from Wenatchee and Eastmont High Schools were getting to know you during that portion of the process of the judging as they narrow it down to 10 for the Royal Court. Last night's Getting to Know You session was worth 20% of the final vote tally with the out-of-town judges. And here's a little snippet of last night.
Hello, I'm candidate Valerie McCrae.
What is your fun fact for us tonight?
Did you know the apples are a member of the rose family?
Thank you. Candidate Scarlett Cron.
I would love to trade places with Julie Andrews for a day because she is my favorite Hollywood actor. She's so inspirational and such a good role model, and I actually got to meet her when I was 6, and she told me and my sister we were as pretty as a picture.
In your bio, you wrote you wanted to trade places with Mark Zuckerberg. Can you tell us why?
$46.1 billion.
For all of you spider haters out there, did you know you're never more than 3 feet away from a spider at all times?
Did you know that cows actually hate country music? Studies show that cows produce 3% less milk when listening to country.
Thank you.
That was last night at the Convention Center. Beginning this morning at 10 o'clock, all the candidates will give their 2-minute speeches. The judges will meet, and then tonight at 6 o'clock live on our Facebook page, they will name the top 10 finalists for the Kashmir Valley Bank Royalty Selection Pageant, which is coming up on February 11th. We will have that for you live on our Facebook page all day today, starting at 10 o'clock this morning. If you want to watch, we'll have the top 10 announcement tonight on our Facebook page at 6 o'clock live, and then on television at 6:30. And that is the news. At 16 minutes after the hour, it's going to be a crazy day at the broadcast Metroplex here, but, you know, we're kind of goofy people anyway, except the news. That we take seriously. With a preview of tonight's newscast, the anchor, Grant Olson.
Good morning, Dan. Coming up tonight on the NCW Life Evening News, we will have the latest real estate snapshot from Pacific Appraisal Associates. Some patchy fog this morning, and then a break from our wet weather before an even bigger storm system moves our way tomorrow night. I'll have all the details in your complete North Central Washington weather forecast. And in sports, Eric Granstrom has a look at what's coming up tonight in area high school, college, and pro sports. That and all the day's news stories coming your way tonight at 5, 6, and 10 on the NCW Life Evening News. We hope to see you then. Dan?
Thank you, Grant, and thank you for watching the news. And don't forget, you can watch the news via our Facebook page, via our homepage, via our YouTube page, and you can get a hold of us, too, via our Facebook page, or you can email us directly, news@ncwlife.com, or if you go to our homepage, ncwlife.com, just fish around, you'll find the Contact Us icon, and you can get a hold of us, too. After a quick break, we'll talk a little bit about last night's national championship game. For a guy who loves college football, it stunk. Preview the Seahawks and the Kraken. 5 in a row for the Kraken. All of that coming up with sports in 1 minute. You're watching Wake Up in Anchi Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Bring the whole family up to Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house in historic downtown Chelan. Applewood smoked brisket, street-style tacos, and our award-winning barbecue rubs and sauces. Our meals pair perfectly with our exciting lineup of craft ales, made right here in Chelan. We've got room for big groups, or give us a call for catering. So grab the kids and check out the fun at Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house located in the heart of Chelan.
1989, I moved here in July. My dad farmed, my brother's still on the family farm. I worked for a dealer in Lewiston, Idaho. I was his general sales manager. My boss goes, I got a guy that may be ready for a store. We made one trip here, and that's how I ended up here. I'd never been here in my life, and I had no friends here. I have nothing, you know. I do now. I have a lot of friends here. I mean, this is my home. I love living here.
19 minutes after the hour, a great college football season. A lousy national championship game. Georgia blew out TCU 65-7. They may have already scored a couple more touchdowns since then. You can make it 2 in a row. 2 national championships in a row for the Bulldogs. 58 points, the most lopsided point differential in FBS history. Stetson Bennett completed just 18 passes, but they were good for 304 yards. Also threw for 4 touchdowns. For the Bulldogs, Brock Bowers caught 7 of those passes for 152 yards and a score. Georgia's defense held TCU to just 188 total yards. The Bulldogs, 2 in a row. Seahawks are a 10-point underdog as we speak for the first playoff game of the NFL postseason Saturday down there in Santa Clara. They'll kick off at 1:30 at Levi Stadium. Coach Pete Carroll says, yeah, we know we're in for a tough test on Saturday afternoon.
Really a great reward for our guys who've been working so hard, and you've been hearing us talk about it, to have this opportunity to keep going, and we're all excited about the fact that the way the day turned out yesterday, just so sunk into the being Lions fans, man. We love the Lions, Coach Campbell did a great job with his crew, and they played a fantastic football game to get the win, to give us the chance. So we're going to try to do something with it. Unfortunately, we're playing the Niners, and they're loaded and healthy and on a roll and about as hot as you could possibly get, and doing it in a really commanding fashion too. With the young quarterback who's doing so well, just kind of would buck the odds. That everybody would think you could do that, and everybody in the media anyway. So we'll see how we get our guys back for this weekend. It's coming up quick with the Saturday ball game, and we've already started our week and we're underway.
Seahawks, of course, coming off that 19-16 overtime win. Seattle's defense sacked Rams quarterback Baker Mayfield 5 times, but Coach Pete Carroll says pressuring the quarterback is a two-way street.
If the rush is making the ball come out quicker, then you don't have to cover them as long and they don't get as open and all of that. I mean, it's so fundamental, but it's the facts, and so it can work in conjunction. If we cover them up, there's a great the second, third down situation I think in the game. And it was 3rd and 3. I can't remember if it was the second one, but we got a sack on the play, totally because of the coverage. Coverage was perfect, and there was no place for the ball to go, and the quarterback got stuck, and there was nothing he could do, and boom, the rush collapses in on him. That's a classic example of how it works together, But every defense I've ever been around is a whole lot better when the rush is really good, and you're going to be able to see what that looks like this weekend. These other guys, they're great at it.
We'll see if the third time is a charm. It is the Seahawks in San Francisco. They kick it off on Saturday afternoon. It is the first game of what they call Super Wild Card Weekend, which is a registered trademark of the National Football League, all rights reserved. Seattle Kraken 4-0 shutout over the Canadians last night. Remember when Canadians were good? Seattle netminder Martin Jones earned his second shutout of the season. He stopped all 24 shots that came his way.
Pass up through center, and it's brought back in by Yanni Gord. Gord trying to feed it in front. Now settles it down, scores! Ellie Tolvanen right on the side of the net. Bangs it home, and the Kraken get the first goal of the game. Beniers will swing it back around for Andre Burakovsky again. Cross ice pass, scores! Daniel Sprong! The one-time shot off the post and in. Goals in back-to-back games for Sprong, and a power play marker makes it 2-0. Bjorkstrand dumps it off for Gord in the corner. Flip back in the net, picked up. Tolvanen got it to the point. Dunn moves to the middle, takes the shot, scores! Vince Dunn's shot redirected in front. They had to switch their helmets once in the Centennial season, wearing one of those sweaters against the Rangers. Here's a chance, Sapkowski, stopped by Jones. Here's a chance now, Caulfield's got it in front, great save made by Jones off Nick Suzuki. Back for Jackeye, can't get by Everly in center, Beniers up with it, looks to the net and scores. Martin Jones will get his 27th career shutout, second of the season and second career shutout against the Montreal Canadiens in a 4-0 victory.
Coach Dave Haxtell said getting off to a good early start on Montreal's home ice was the key.
Yeah, we had a great start to the game. We played a really good first period. The way that you want to come out on the road, and we're able to not only build the lead, but we played a really good first period. So that set us up. It's always going to be a grind when you come out of the first period that way. There's going to be a push from the other side, and there was. But we did a good job, finishing out and closing out the game.
Now it's back into the United States. They'll take on the Buffalo Sabres this afternoon, 4 o'clock on Root Sports. All right, let's talk basketball. The ice was covered with the basketball floor at the Town Toyota Center yesterday, the first of 2 days of the NCW Basketball Showcase. The Cashmere girls controlled the game with Chelan from start to finish. No problems there, 56-18, but the Chelan boys turned the tables on Cashmere with a 59-42 victory. Coming up today, it's East Wenatchee's unified team. They'll play at 5 o'clock. It'll be followed by the East Wenatchee girls at 6:30, then the Wildcat and Panther boys at 8 o'clock. These are all non-league games, by the way. Other prep basketball action tonight. Bridgeport will, the girls anyway, will host Manson. These are all girls that you see there. That's the same start time for Liberty Bell at Oroville, Tonasket hosting Lake Roosevelt. Brewster visits Okanagan, Grandview travels to Ephrata. On the boys' schedule today, it's Omak visiting Cascade. Tonasket takes on Lake Roosevelt. The other 7:30 games, Brewster at Okanagan. Bridgeport hosts Manson. Liberty Bell at Oroville, and Ephrata plays host to Grandview. And those are just some of the games that people are playing. At 25 minutes after the hour, the Obscura holiday of the day today. We'll throw up that picture and we'll let you decide what that is. It's a food-related holiday. You ever eaten that? You know what that is? That's Oysters Rockefeller. It's National Oysters Rockefeller Day today. It's oysters served with butter sauce and parsley, and that happens to have spinach and then a little breadcrumbs. It goes back to Antone's Restaurant in Orleans. Back in 1889, the cook there, Jules, was supposed to, that's basically the recipe for escargot, but he ran out of snails. Hey, I ain't got no escargot, but I got oysters. So he took the recipe for escargot and he just added the oysters instead of the escargot, and boom, Oysters Rockefeller was born. And how did it get its name? Well, it was 1889. The richest guy in the world was John D. Rockefeller, and Oysters Rockefeller is very, very rich. There go, Oysters Rockefeller, named after a very, very rich guy. It is an acquired taste, but if it's prepared correctly, it's good. And I love oysters. I could just sit there and do oysters all day long. I love them. They don't love me. Today in history, the Rubicon River. It ain't much when you look at it. For such an important part of the history of humankind, you would think that the day that Julius Caesar and his army crossed the Rubicon, that the Rubicon would be some massive body of raging river, whatever. It's just more like a ditch. January 10th, 49 BC, 2,072 years ago, Jerry Caesar and his troops did what they weren't supposed to do. This is Julius Caesar. This is your area here in Italy. All right, this is what the Romans were telling them back there. This is you. You're in charge of this area. Don't head south. You know, you got your army. This is your territory. But Jerry Caesar and his crew, they had other ideas. They wanted to take over the joint, and they said, no, stay there. This side of the Rubicon, your property. Other side, not. Julius Caesar and his troops said, nerds to you, we're crossing the Rubicon to begin, well, essentially civil war. Crossing the Rubicon is now a metaphor. It's an idiom. It means the point of no return. You cross the Rubicon, you ain't going back. Jerry and his crew did that way back in 49 BC. 247 years ago, Thomas Paine published Common Sense. Still one of the biggest selling books ever. Now, in 1776, there were only about 2.5 million people who lived in the colonies. And of the 2.5 million people who lived in the colonies, about 2.6 million either read Common Sense or had Common Sense read to them. And it was basically a pamphlet that said, we don't need George no more. We should do our own country. And here are the reasons why. Common Sense, published. It's still in print. You can still go out and buy one today or download it on your Kindle. And it's still a pretty good read after 247 years. January 10th, 1901. 122 years ago. Well, the first thing you know, Jed's a millionaire. There's gold in them thar fields. The Spindletop Gusher in Beaumont, Texas. The first one. They've been drilling for oil for a while in Texas, and boom, they found it. They found a lot of it. That sucker spewed for 6 days, 100,000 barrels of oil before they could finally cap the darn thing. Beaumont, Texas, the population of Beaumont, Texas in 1901 was 10,000. 3 months later, the population of Beaumont, Texas in 3 months was 50,000 people. Exxon and Mobil started their companies together by taking advantage of the Spindletop, the great gusher. It all started for the Texas oil boom on the state in 1901. The de Havilland Comet was the very first passenger jet airplane. Now, jet airplanes have been around for a few years, but strictly military use. But the Comet was the first passenger jet airplane. Super fast speeds, pressurized cabins, high altitude. The problem with the Comet is that they kept falling out of the sky. And it happened again on this day, January 10th, 1954. BOAC Flight 741 just fell apart right into the Mediterranean Ocean. 35 people died. This was the third comet to simply disintegrate and fall in the course of a year, and then they finally decided, got to figure out what the hell's going on here. And what they figured out is when you constantly pressurize and depressurize the cabin, it puts a lot of stress on the skin of the airplane. So they got rid of rivets and went to welding. And the other thing that they didn't think about is that the windows in the Comet were big and square, and they kept failing. And so they got rid of the square windows. They made them a lot smaller and made them oval, and they got rid of the rivets, and then the problem was solved. Square windows in an airplane at 30,000 feet, not a good idea. And finally, 39 years ago today, after 117 years of no formal diplomatic relations with the Roman Catholic Church, with the Holy See, Vatican City, way back in 1869, Congress said we should not have diplomatic with the Pope and the Catholics. So they passed a law saying no official diplomatic relations with the Pope. And on this date in 1984, they said this is stupid. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. Protestants weren't real happy, but the Catholics were. So it's back to talking to the Pope again formally on this date in 1984. 31 minutes after the hour, celebrity birthdays, the Hawk. We lost Ronnie Hawkins, the great rocker and roller, born in Arkansas but made his name in Canada. Ronnie Hawkins, born in the state in 1935, would have been 88 years old today. We lost Ronnie back in May. Probably best known for gathering 5 young Canadians, actually 4 Canadians and an Arkansas hillbilly, which would eventually become known as the Band. The great Ronnie Hawkins, born in the state in 1935. We miss him. Another heavenly birthday, Jim Croce. Listen to some Jim Croce over the weekend, and why not? Jim Croce, of course, perished in a plane crash in September of 1973 at the age of 30. But the music lives on. It's still good stuff. Jim Croce, born in the state in 1943, would have been 80 years old today. Donald Fagen, one half of Steely Dan. Well, the only half of Steely Dan now. Of course, Walter Becker met his maker a while back. Donald Fagen, 75 years old today. George Foreman, the oldest heavyweight champion in history. He was like 48 years old when he won it. Big George Foreman. George Foreman has 12 children. 5 sons. His sons are named George Jr., George III, George IV, George V, and George VI. Makes it easy that way. And how much money did George Foreman make on the George Foreman grill? Lots and lots and lots. They figured he made over $200 million endorsing the George Foreman grill. What happened to that? I don't know. George is a happy guy. We love you, George. Happy 70-something to George. Oh, and Austin. It's Austin Dillard's birthday. Happy birthday, Austin. Austin is a system administrator. He works in the basement of this building, which means nobody really knows what he does. Happy 21st to Austin Dillard. I wanted to throw that out there because he's one of those guys in this building that if he wanted to, can make my professional life a living hell. So we love you, Austin. Going to take a break. Mike McNaughty has a little comment about aviation. You've never seen it because we never aired it. And then Jefferson Robbins in this conversation with 12th District State Representative Mike Steele to talk about the legislative session, which got underway yesterday. That's coming up too. You're watching Wake Up on Anchi Valley on the NCW Life Channel.
Introducing Alpine Airman. Because every home needs a superhero to eliminate poor indoor air quality, send inefficient operating equipment packing, and cut high energy bills down to size. For heating or cooling and equipment replacement, turn to the experts and the superheroes at Carrier and Alpine Air. We offer the best deals on high-efficiency Carrier products, along with friendly, knowledgeable service and incredible savings to fit your budget.
Hi folks, welcome to Save Mart. How can we help you today?
We're looking for a recliner.
Okay, right this way. Go ahead and move this chase on the other side. You can lift this up.
Great, I want that one. I like that one.
That's a great choice.
And I want this one as well.
Okay.
And I definitely want this one.
You'll find it at Save Mart. Full service at a low, low price.
Hello. 3 tickets, please.
Oh, the Discovery Center is free to visit.
So you're telling me we could look at the fish for free?
Yep, that's free.
But how much is it to drive the speedboat?
Todo es gratis.
So you're telling me that we could go play on the playground?
Still free.
Damn, it's free.
Exactly. Gratis, gratis, gratis. The Discovery Center at Rocky Beach. Damn, it's free.
Mondays are happy hour all day long at Bob's Burgers and Brew in East Wenatchee. Great deals on appetizers, martinis, specialty drinks, wine, well drinks, and draft beers. Bob's Burgers and Brew in East Wenatchee. Come on in. They look forward to serving you.
Bob's Burgers and Brews in East Wenatchee. Come enjoy great food, great service, and a great time. Only the best for our guests. We look forward to serving you. Stop on by today.
Working with August Edge Real Estate, both sellers and buyers feel confident knowing they are in the hands of award-winning professionals. August Edge offers a 2% listing commission, which includes above-standard service and technology.
We offer high-tech 3D imagery, drone photos, local North Central Washington TV ads, and impressive smart flyer installed at your listing. The August Edge website also hosts your home with an interactive featured listing page.
August Edge is professional, personable, and preferable.
With all the variety on SureStream TV from LocalTel, there's always something to watch. But what if you hit the couch in the middle of all the shows? That's a perfect time to use the features Catch Up or Restart. Catch up on shows from up to 3 days ago, or restart your show from the beginning. Go to your guide and select the show to restart. Then play, pause, rewind on your schedule. Don't forget, SureStream TV from LocalTel lets you decide when shows begin.
This is Mike, Mad Dog McNutty, and everybody's entitled to my opinion. Now, I'm a real fan of World War I aircraft and air combat. I mean, that's when flying was flying, you know. I recently went to the Flight Museum in Tukwila, and I didn't know this, but I was really excited to find out that they had a World War I exhibit. And there was a Fokker triplane there, which many of us are familiar with, as it was the most famous plane flown by Manfred von Richthofen, the Red Baron, the World War I ace of aces in World War I with 80 air victories, you know. There was also a Sopwith triplane. Yeah, I bet. Most of you didn't know that the Allies made a triplane as well, it just wasn't as famous. There was also tributes to American heroes like Frank Luke, the Arizona balloon buster, the first American aviator to ever win the Congressional Medal of Honor, and a tribute to the American ace of aces, Eddie Rickenbacker, also a Medal of Honor winner. You're not familiar with those names? But hey, if you're interested in American history, they're well worth looking up. Sure, Top Gun, jet planes, they make for great action films, but World War I aviation, that's when flying was flying. Oh yeah. This is Mike Mad Dog McNatty, and that's my opinion.
Tiki Hawaiian Barbecue, family owned and operated on North Wenatchee Avenue, right next to Hooked on Toys. Tiki Hawaiian Barbecue uses only fresh ingredients, handcrafted with love, including authentic Hawaiian barbecue and Japanese-style ramen noodle soups. And the bubble teas will keep you coming back for more. Enjoy the culinary tour of the Pacific Rim with Hawaiian barbecue lunches and combo plate classics, as well as ramen noodle soups. Tiki Hawaiian Barbecue. Enjoy their comfort food like you're one of the family.
Hey everyone, Fletcher and Amy Ellington here from Live It Up. In the investment world, ROI stands for Return on Investment. Well, how does better health, better wealth, and better relationships sound for ROI? Join us every week right here on NCW Life and learn how to invest in the most important asset, you.
We're going to answer your questions and provide some weekly inspiration so you can create a life that you love. Join us on Live It Up.
If you are looking for dependable car service and repair, visit the good guys at Quick Lube and Tune. They've been keeping cars and trucks in the Wenatchee Valley running smooth for 35 years. Quick Lube and Tune is your hometown shop for a 10-minute oil change, complete tune-ups, alignments, brakes, mufflers, air conditioning service, and more. Get more life out of your vehicle by bringing it to the local guys you can trust at Quick Lube and Tune on South Wenatchee Avenue.
ColorFX has moved their shop to a larger location to expand their services, including adding in a state-of-the-art large format printer. They got it. You need banners? They got them. You need vinyl decals for your cars, trucks, vans, or trailers in just about any size? Yeah, they got it. ColorFX has also been providing fun swag and clothing for local churches and high schools around our valley for decades. Support your local print shop. Call ColorFX in Cashmere today. Beaver Valley Lodge in Leavenworth is located on 50 acres set in a quiet country atmosphere with historic farm feel and charm. It's sure to make your stay one to remember. Beaver Valley Lodge offers a variety of overnight accommodations for groups large and small that range from rooms for 2 to 4 people to entire vacation homes with all the space you'll need for a reunion, a retreat, or a wedding. Book your stay at Beaver Valley Lodge, where you'll come as a guest and leave as a friend.
Wenatchee Dental Arts. They specialize in your smile. At Wenatchee Dental Arts, your health and comfort are their priorities. Call them today for all your dental needs.
When the people you serve are your friends and family, you see the world a bit differently. You understand that your survival depends on the health and strength of your relationships. Your word is your reputation, and that doing the right thing is the only way of life that matters. At Confluence Health, we remain humble. Trust is a gift that is earned, a privilege, an honor. And we remain grateful for the trust you place in our hands.
This, of course, is the biennial budget that we're writing this session. As you know, it's a 105-day session, so it will be longer, and we will be in person for the first time in 2 years. So I'm looking forward to that. It does make the budget writing process much easier. So I'm glad that we'll have that face-to-face interaction and be able to really dig in as we write this biennial budget. This biennial budget, as it relates to the capital budget, which I am the ranking member of, will be smaller than the last one. We, of course, in the last biennium, we passed a historic budget, $6 billion on the capital side, which has never been done before in the history of Washington State. And primarily that was from all of the federal ARPA funds that came our way that we were able to appropriate through the state allocations to various projects, infrastructure projects around Washington. This year, the budget will be back to a more of a normal forecast. So we'll be about $4.3 billion in capital funding that we'll be able to write a budget for.
Do you have particular hopes or priorities, Mike, for how this capital budget might best serve the 12th district?
Well, the interesting thing, of course, Jefferson, is that the 12th district is brand new, as is every district in Washington State, since the Redistricting Commission redistricted all of us. Of course, I will continue to represent all of Chelan County, about 13,000 people in Douglas County, and then I will have a portion of Snohomish County, all of the city of Monroe, which is really where my Snohomish County portion lies, and all of Highway 2, and then a small portion of King County. So it'll be very interesting. And I as the ranking member of the capital budget, which there's only one in Washington State, I'm feeling unique pressures from counties that I have not seen before or represented before. So we're working on building those relationships and understanding their capital needs. But of course, my heart is here in Chelan County, North Central Washington. born and raised in Chelan. And so my hope is to be able to deliver capital projects across the district, but certainly projects that are close to home in Wenatchee and Leavenworth, Lake Chelan, and of course, East Wenatchee. So we'll be working on those things as session progresses.
One of the things that the Legislative Assembly for the 12th District has been proposed and has been pushing on is the idea of a regional aquatic center. Do you foresee in the capital process this year any leeway to get some funding across for that?
Well, I think there's a lot of conversations left to be had around the Regional Aquatic Center and that approach. Of course, we of course in Chelan and Douglas counties have the original PFD that we're continuing to pay off. And so I'm a little hesitant to jump into the deep end of the pool, as it were, to create yet another credit card for our district to create this regional aquatic center. So we'll have that conversation, and I've been having that conversation with the senator, and we'll see how it goes. But as I say, I'm a little hesitant to create yet another option for taxation on our local folks.
In the new 12th district, do you see competing interests? Places where Chelan might have to lose in order for Monroe to gain, that kind of thing. Are you having to balance more concerns across a broader region?
That's a great question. I did indeed spend a lot of time on the other side of the Cascade Mountain Range, which is now where the new part of the district is, getting to know folks and understanding the issues. And I would say that I still represent pretty rural communities, even on the west side of the Cascade Mountain Range. And those interests are continuing to be very similar to the ones that are represented on the east side of the Cascade Mountain Range. But I will just say that, again, as the ranking member of the capital budget, you always have to have an eye to the whole of the state. And you don't always get to worry about solely your district. So I wouldn't say there's a competing interest. I think there's an opportunity for us to really look and see what the needs are and make sure that we're equitably dispersing and helping with those needs across Washington. And I've always been very clear in my role on the capital budget that I expect there is geographic diversity in the way in which we hand out these capital dollars. So I don't expect that approach to change, but I am spending a lot of time getting familiar with folks and issues on the west side of the Cascade Mountain Range. And I do think that we will develop a district that is complementary across the whole of the 12th. And working with my seatmates, I'm sure we'll accomplish what we need to make sure everybody gets what they need.
It seems like one of the similarities that we would have in our area with our 12th district neighbors on the west side of the Cascades is there are a lot of Highway 2 communities. Kashmir, Leavenworth, they're Highway 2 towns in the same way Skykomish, Monroe, Sultan are.
That's exactly right. It's exactly right. We've always had a little portion of Highway 2 that we've had to represent, and now we have the whole of the highway, which I think will make it easier actually to have these larger holistic conversations around safety corridors and expansions. And of course, we now join other delegations across Highway 2, where districts meet up, legislative districts meet up and share some of those concerns. So we may have more of a voice with respect to the transportation issues across Highway 2.
Mike, one of the things that Governor Inslee has proposed as a capital budget initiative is some financing for housing units. He wants to build about 2,200 units throughout the state, paid for through the capital budget. There are other referendum ideas to pay for more. But as far as the capital budget aspect of that goes, do you see that as something that could serve areas like Chelan, Leavenworth, where workforce housing, for instance, is just so hard to come by?
Well, I would say that it has to. Otherwise, that budget will not pass. This is the only budget, of course, in the state that requires a bipartisan approach to writing it, because Republicans are necessary still to pass the bonds that pay for it. And so, again, as I mentioned earlier, my approach to the capital budget has always been geographic diversity, equitable diversity of those funds across Washington, because we of course still deal with housing issues in Chelan County. We deal with housing issues across every county in Washington. And we need to make sure that if we're going to spend that kind of money and we're going to get creative in this manner that the governor proposes, that money benefits every citizen in every county in Washington state. And so I think there's a lot of conversation left to be had in his proposal, because this was brand new, but no, he didn't do any of the legwork to bring any of the budget writers up to speed on this proposal. So we're seeing it just as the public saw it. And so now we have to go in and understand his proposal and his funding mechanism and see if it's something we're comfortable with passing.
There was a slight gain, a 1 seat gain, I think, for Democrats in the House. Does that change the balance? Or does that change the way that Republicans have to work and negotiate to get their capital budget proposals through?
To some extent, so it's a 60% required vote to pass the bonds required to pay for the capital budget. And so we did lose, as you mentioned, one person in that. So it does tilt the balance slightly, rather than having 2 Republicans necessary to pass the budget, it requires only 1 to vote with the Democrats to pass the budget. And so that margin is much narrower. But I think, I prided myself over all the years of really working in a bipartisan fashion and creating a bipartisan approach, regardless of the votes necessary to pass the bonds. We need to work together because this budget is a job creator, economic driver, and really the community builder for Washington State. And I think both sides of the aisle see that.
Well, I was mentioned earlier bills that have been pre-filed by legislators, and one by Senator Warnick of the 13th District she's pre-filed a bill that would exempt the first 20,000 gallons of wine sold by a winery from the stamp tax, from the 0.87% stamp tax, I believe. As a representative of Washington wine country, where do you fall on this issue?
Well, I support that legislation. I think it's really trying to get at the heart of what we have so many of here in the 12th Legislative District, which are small boutique wineries who are not doing large case productions, but are still in production and farming. And it's awfully hard to swallow some of those initial taxes when you're so small and you're just trying to get your first cases out the door. So I think it's a good idea, and I look forward to working with her to get it through the House.
Mike, do you retain your committee seats on appropriations and education, or are those new seats for you?
I will retain all of my seats as they were in committee. So yes, continue to work in education, and I will continue to serve on the Appropriations Committee.
If you had to pick only one of those areas, which would be the seat you would choose to retain?
That's a great question, but it's a hard one to answer because they're so vastly different. I think I'm very fortunate to serve on 2 budget committees, ranking on one and serving on the other. That's a lot of work. Most legislators do not serve on 2 budget committees just because of the requirement of time and effort to get all of those bills and everything understood and read. But education is really, outside of the budgets now, my only policy area that I work in terms of a policy committee. And so I really enjoy that work, and I appreciate, representing as many school districts as I do. In rural Washington, I think it's important that rural Washington school districts have a voice on that committee, and I'm excited to continue to serve in that way.
Can you think of anything else about the upcoming session, whether it be capital budget or some other aspect, that your constituents might need to know about or be interested in?
Well, I think one of the most important things to note is that we really are asking that constituents get engaged. And we've made it easier than ever. I think now, coming out of this pandemic, understanding that virtual meetings do work, there's an opportunity for constituents to continue to meet with us virtually. So if you can't make that trek to Olympia, but you still want to meet with us, I'm happy to do that virtually. I'm happy to bring you into committee meetings virtually if you want to testify on bills. The only thing of note there is that it's up to the chair's discretion as to whether or not they will allow for virtual testimony. And so, I'm excited that I'll be able to narrow that gap a little bit for folks who live in rural Washington and can't travel 6 hours to Olympia. I think it's really important that those folks get heard and are part of the process. So I would just encourage everyone, if you want to be part of this process and you haven't had the chance before, because you couldn't get to Olympia, don't let that be a limiting factor.
Do you think that's if there's positive aspects, one positive aspect of the pandemic, that digital democracy and digital engagement has been shown to be something that can work? I do. I think that's a really big silver lining that came out of this whole thing, is that we at the legislature we were forced to adjust to the modern world, and we've been talking a long time about how we make virtual testimony an option, and then the pandemic forced us into it, and we were able to do it, and we've shown we can do it. So I say we continue that effort and allow folks all over Washington to be part of the legislative process.
The holiday season is here, and life is hectic. Let Merry Maids help simplify yours. You expect a lot, and Merry Maids delivers more. They'll make your home or business sparkle for holiday parties, special events, and family gatherings. They'll customize the cleaning to fit your needs and your budget. Merry Maids are cleaning experts. They're licensed, bonded, and insured. Best of all, your satisfaction is always guaranteed. Visit online, merrymaids.com, and call for a free estimate. Then you can relax. It's done.
Blue Lagoon Pool and Spa end of the year blowout sale is going on now. Spas are scientifically proven to improve sleep and ease arthritis pain. Let us help you find the perfect spa today. Blue Lagoon Pool and Spa is helping families reconnect, one hot tub at a time.
If you could live anywhere, where would it be? And what would it be like? With today's home values, this is the perfect time to sell and make those dreams real. When you work with a world-class agent at Coldwell Banker, you benefit from trusted guidance and our revolutionary seller's assurance program to make your home sale more rewarding than ever. So it really is true. Your dreams don't have to be just dreams.
Nestled among the snow-capped hilltops and glacier-fed waters is Lake Chelan, the perfect place to experience Washington's winter wonderland. Join us for Winterfest and be amazed by intricate ice sculptures, 2 spectacular fireworks shows, sample world-class wine, and the infamous ice bar. Enjoy live music, ice slide, and polar bear plunge. There's something for everyone during Winterfest across both downtown Chelan and Manson. Visit lakechelan.com for more info.
Getting ready to wrap up this Tuesday edition of Wake Up in Angie Valley. It was 32 degrees. It was cloudy and misty and foggy when this show began. It is almost 1 hour later. It is 32 degrees. It is cloudy and misty and foggy, and we're not going to get much warmer than 32 degrees. Going to be dry today, just a gray, cloudy, typical early January day. We're going to see a little bit of sunshine, not much, but sun's going to say, hey, remember me? It's going to come back and see us on a Wednesday, and then we're going to get some snow Wednesday night into Thursday, switches over to rain. Snow level goes up to, something like 4,500 feet, and we'll see temperatures in the 40s. In fact, here's a quick slide from the National Weather Service to show you what we're looking at here. So periods of rain and mountain snow through the area Wednesday night into Thursday. Quite a bit of snow in the Cascades before it switches over to rain. Here in the Wenatchee Valley, we are going to see some snow. Looks pretty good. Early Thursday morning between basically 4, 5, 6 a.m. And then it'll be a rain-snow mix in the mid-morning hours. And then by Thursday afternoon, it'll be just plain rain. And we're going to have a lot of rain, by the way, on Thursday night. So more significant snowmelt heading our way from Apple Valley Honda and the National Weather Service. Here we go. Cloudy day. Yeah, cloudy. Cloudy, foggy, dry, yeah. That's the weather in a word. Yeah. High today of about 34 degrees. Patchy fog, freezing fog forms tonight. Lots of clouds, 28 with the overnight low. Again, temperature variation, very little. It's typical for this time of the year. Looking for a little bit of sunshine. On Wednesday, we don't show it graphically, but we could see a few sun breaks with a high of 33 degrees. Wednesday night is when things start getting a little cattywampus as a more active storm system comes in. Snow level is going to be at about 1,400 feet Wednesday night, so a little bit of rain, then switches over to snow. My guess is Thursday morning we're going to be waking up to some wet snow, and then a rain-snow mix until about noon, and then by Thursday afternoon, the snow level is going to go up to about 4,300 feet, and it'll switch over to rain. We'll top off at about 38 on Thursday. Thursday night, rain. A lot of it all night Thursday night. 34 for the overnight low. Rain Friday morning. Eventually we dry out. Lots of clouds Friday. Look at the high there, 41. We'll do it all over again Saturday, although Saturday will be a little bit drier than Friday and certainly Thursday night. And that is it for us. Have yourself a fantabulous Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.